What is going on, everybody? It's the Philosopher back again for NXT review for July 18th, 2018. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. I hate spoilers. I hate the fact that WWE continues to do this, but I know why they do it. Tonight, of course, was the final episode of NXT from the last set of tapings, and tonight as well. I wish they would have waited till tomorrow at least to have the tapings, so I wouldn't have to start off NXT with these tapings. But if anybody follows anything of WWE on Twitter, you already know there is a new NXT champion going to be crowned next week. Tommaso Ciampa ends up winning the NXT championship from Aleister Black due to interference from Johnny Gargano. So we have some interesting things to get into for talk about all that next week, but that is the news coming out of today's tapings, is the fact that NXT has a new champion, with Johnny Gargano screwing Aleister Black out of the championship and Tommaso Ciampa reaping the rewards of that. So this week on NXT, of course, was the last set of tapings. We had ourselves Lacey Evans versus Dakota Kai, a triple threat match for the NXT, the number one contendership for the NXT Women's Championship, and Cassius Ohno versus some jobber. That was about it. Those were the only matches we had today. Most of it was just a bunch of packages. We had the Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa hype package. War Raiders had a nice, cool little package for themselves, talking about how they got to where they are now. They've been in the business together for 10 years before they before they became the War Machine as we knew them back then, and just what they're planning to do in NXT. Also, Velveteen Dream cut himself a nice little promo. So, just NXT. This one felt like it was an off week for everything outside of the triple threat at the end of the show, because it's like they didn't. You could tell it was the last set of tapings. It felt like they taped three good episodes, and then taped a bunch of three matches during those 3 episodes and just threw them together on this night with a bunch of hype packages and everything. Not a bad. It wasn't the worst show I've ever seen. It was not as, what I want to say. It wasn't NXT's best, I should say. It wasn't NXT's best. The show started off with us little Dakota Kai versus Lacey Evans. These two had a nice back and forth. Dakota Kai started off hot, and then she goes for her crescent moon haluva kick, and Lacey Evans moves out of the way, and Lacey Evans take over from there. She beats her down. She grabs both arms, pulls them behind her, and tries to stretch her, pretty much destroy her arms. Dakota Kai eventually does get back on the other side of the fence with everything, gets two crescent moon haluva kicks off, and then a couple standing face washes, and then a running face wash. Sorry, kind of mixing my words there. Dakota Kai goes for gets her foot caught, goes for an enziguri. Lacey Evans ducks, hits her with the woman's right, and Dakota and Lacey Evans is your winner. Ricochet was in the back. There was this too. He was in the back, and with Kathy Kelly, he says he wants to be the one and only North American champion. So I'm pretty sure coming out of the next set of tapings, which I have not read, it was just that WWE decided to spoil the NXT championship. But I'm pretty sure we'll get between now and the end until in Brooklyn. It'll be Adam Cole versus Ricochet for the North American Championship, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Ricochet will end up winning the North American Championship at Brooklyn. He will be your second ever North American champion. They did a Street Profits thing too, where they're sitting there in their backyard or back home, getting pumped up, name dropping the Mighty, going off on the Mighty. I think they were still calling them Team 6-1, but they was just name dropping the Mighty, getting themselves hyped up. So it looks like whenever they wrestle each other, the Street Profits are looking for some revenge. EC3 then they also show EC3. He's being interviewed when he keeps running into fans. One wants a selfie, one wants a T-shirt. He runs into Kona Reeves, who starts tearing him down, saying, "Yeah, you have a nice suit, nice spray, good spray tan, nice watch, but none of it's the finest." EC3 is he starts mocking Kona Reeves, telling wondering how many times he had to work one of those crane machines to get that necklace and anything. And of course, EC3 challenges into a match. I expect that to probably be next week or the week after. So, EC3 and Kona Reeves gonna mix it up most likely. Cassius Ohno versus some jobber, I didn't get his name. This match lasted about 2 minutes. The jobber tries to get a waistlock takedown. Cassius Ohno fights that off, and then hits a discus elbow for the 1-2-3, and that match was over with. Promo package for the War Raiders, talking about how these guys were on opposite ends of a tournament 10 years ago, like 10 years into the business. I guess they got into the finals and beat the holy shit out of each other. And then they came to a realization, and it was like, what would happen if we were to combine forces? Who would stop us? And I was wondering during Monday Night Raw why they were going ham and going all ham on saying that Sarah Logan is a Viking. Well, I didn't know this at the time, but I guess her fiance is one member of the War Raiders. And she's channeling their modern day Vikingness as her gimmick now, so good for them. But then it was Ro, I believe, also, I did not know this, was 4 years ago, was in a motorcycle accident that should have ended his life. He survived, and he has a metal plate in his arm. So it was nice. It's nice to get these in-depth video packages of the guys and girls. We've seen one for Roderick Strong, TM6, the Mighty when they were TM61 still when they came back, Bianca Belair, the War Raiders now. I believe we've had other ones too. I can't think off the top of my head. But it's always nice to see these because you get to know the guys and girls behind the characters a little bit more. Then we get a Velveteen Dream promo where he's talking about Philadelphia, War Games, Philadelphia, and New Orleans, Chicago, and what he's done in each and every one of those. And Brooklyn is going to be where he spotlights himself next. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be EC3 versus the Velveteen Dream at TakeOver Brooklyn. Ricochet is going for the North American Championship, and there's really no one else for Velveteen Dream to take on right now other than an EC3. These guys would have some beef because of the tag team match at Royal Albert Hall, where Velveteen Dream walked away because he was feigning an injury or playing up an injury. So that would be what I say is going to happen. There's nothing been announced yet, but we will have that more made clear. Everything will be made clear within the next 3-4 weeks. Kairi Sane versus Candice LeRae versus Nikki Cross triple threat match. This was pretty much the only big thing coming out of this episode. You had Shayna Baszler on commentary with Nigel McGuinness and all that, and she did not really want to talk. And every time somebody would ask her, "Oh, who would you rather face?" or which one of these do you prefer? And she's like, it doesn't matter. It's all going to end the same. I'm going to come out there. I'm going to make them tap. Or make them pass out or snap their limbs. That's all it's going to take. It doesn't matter. They just kept asking her over and over and over and over. Nikki Cross, I think this would probably be her last match in NXT for the simple fact is that she has been on the house show circuit for the main roster on SmackDown Live. So I expect to see her on SmackDown probably by after SummerSlam. Not sure, but we will have to wait and see. Kairi Sane ends up winning this one. She did have an anchor on Candice LeRae earlier in the match, but of course Nikki Cross broke that up. Nikki Cross is down. Candice LeRae hits a beautiful picture-perfect lion salt. Looks like she's going to win this match, but Candice LeRae comes down. Kairi Sane hits an insane elbow on top of her, on top of both women, pins Candice LeRae for the 1, 2, 3. And as the show goes off the air, you see Kairi Sane on the top turnbuckle, looking off to the entranceway as Shayna Baszler holds up the NXT Women's Championship. That is our first confirmed match for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Again, another down episode. It's just a down episode for NXT. Of course, they don't bat 1,000. Nobody in the wrestling business bats 1,000. But we will have a lot to talk about next week, the next 4 weeks, as we build towards NXT Brooklyn 4. And yes, I imagine that this is going to be one of those things that we're going to sit there and say, the next 3 weeks, I'm going to say we're going to get all our news and everything for NXT TakeOver in the next 3 weeks, because usually the go-home show does not have anything much to do with NXT TakeOver. We'll have like a match or two like we did tonight. Tonight felt like it was supposed to be a go-home show that for the next NXT, because they really, other than the triple threat match at the end, this was more of just, we're building everybody up in this show. We're showcasing people who we're not going to showcase at the next TakeOver. We had Cassius Ohno, we had Dakota Kai and Lacey Evans, and that was it. But that is your NXT review. We will be back here next week. Again, I hate spoilers. This is the one downside of having tape shows, is that things come out and people just sit there and don't know how to not give away spoilers. But we do have a new NXT champion. If it is a spoiler I don't like to read spoilers, but when you go on the Twitter and you just see NXT or WWE Twitter page says new NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa or something like that, I'm like, just kind of ruins the specialness, man. But that's gonna be out. I'll see you guys on Saturday for Unscripted, and we'll be going over the 4 new names for the Mae Young Classic and much, much more. And there's going to be talk about the Hogan reinstatement. We do have issue statements from Titus O'Neil and the New Day, as well as much, much more. I'll see you guys then. You have a good one.